Hello and welcome to the video. I'm currently in Austria for the European Club Cup, but all eyes are on the United States of America and one man in particular, Hans Niemann. Yes, it's safe to say that rarely have, the eyes of the chess world been as, so many in the same place at the same time, outside of something like the World Championship match. But everybody is waiting and looking to see what will happen in the Hans Niemann games. And, the first round is over. The first round of the very strong US Championship. A US Championship featuring players such as Caruana, Levon Aronian, Wesley So, Lenny Dominguez, etc. And of the 14 players, Hans Niemann is participating. And of course, a bombshell was dropped the day before the tournament when chess.com released a big report going over, the alleged cheating that he did online. We all knew that he did that, but perhaps it was more than we thought. But still, no evidence or anything approaching that about his over-the-board play. So he's still playing in this tournament. There are no, he's not getting banned or anything, but okay, time will tell. So obviously Hans was thoroughly checked before this game with a metal detector and in various places. So we have to say it's unlikely that unless the method is so sophisticated that people just aren't realizing, but this game should be clean. But let's see. Hans has the black pieces and Christopher Yu opens with pawn to d4. Knight f6 and knight c3 by Christopher Yu. A bold choice, given that Hans Niemann has, written a chessable course on this very opening, the knight c3 move. So he's kind of playing in Niemann's home court here, so a break decision. d5 by Hans, and interesting to see how he battles his own system. He allows knight b5 here, where black has to defend the pawn on c7 with knight to a6. e3, bishop e7. Black is just getting ready to get, pieces out and get sensibly castled and willing to accept one bad piece for the moment. Knight to f3, pieces out for both sides, castles, bishop to e2, and knight h5. Hans wants to, get this bishop. Christopher puts it on e5 here to provoke f6, which can be weakening, but can also help black to build up a strong central position with his pawns. Bishop drops to g3, and Hans plays c6. The knight has to draw back, and now c5. So black is willing to, invest the tempo. He'd much rather play c5 with a knight on c3 rather than knight on b5. So now white basically has a London system where he would like to have the pawn on c3 instead of the knight. So I think black should be doing quite well here in the opening. White castled. It's worth mentioning that white can take this on top of the pawns, but in modern chess people tend to value the bishop pair a lot, and when you have the knights, it's probably going to be knights against bishop when we capture this. You want to have some squares for the knights, and in this position it's hard to find good squares for the knight. I mean, black has good central control, and the only real square we can go for would be maybe c5, but even that would not be the most stable square. So white is not giving up the light squared bishop, he castles, and now Niemann takes on g3, grabs the bishop pair, and here he plays a novelty. This move has never been played before, but it looks strong. He plays the move c4. Previously, I think c takes d4 had been played in some games. Bishop d7 had been played in 2 games, and f5 actually. Gregory Oparin, a strong grandmaster 2650, played f5 here. So c4 is the novelty. Now, this is a very ambitious try by black because he's grabbing a lot of space on the queen side, and if white does very little, he will be kind of cross on the queen side, excuse me, after moves like b5. Knight has to move, then a5 and b4. And this knight will not have many good squares to go to. So white is suffering a little bit in the space department. So he tries to grab some space in the center by going e4 here. But Hans put pressure on the center here with bishop to b4. Now he's kind of trying to take this, and then maybe we can take this. And again, this knight doesn't have a lot of squares. So U releases the pressure in the center, e takes d5, and plays knight b1. Does not want to be saddled with the double pawns there. Hans plays knight c7, fixing this knight, and this knight will take an interesting journey in this game. Starts off badly on a6, but will become a very strong piece. c3, kicking the bishop back, which goes to d6, and now knight b to d2. So already black can be quite happy. I mean, he has his share of the space, and he has the bishop here. So it's clear that the white has no advantage out of the opening here. And he's probably struggling a little bit, and I think even though the computer evaluation is not that high for black, I think it's a difficult practical position for white. So Hans goes on with space gaining maneuvers here on the queen side, b5. And now white starts some maneuvering, which kind of shows that he is in a hard position. He has to maneuver the knights, and there's not a lot of space for the knights to maneuver actually. Knight c2, queen d7, Hans just finishes development, connects the rooks, and keeps on going on the queen side. White blunts here for now with a3, but the threat is always there of black at some point going b4 and trying to break through on the queen side. But for now, nothing on the queen side, and now Hans starts to build up on the king side. He plays g6. This is an interesting maneuver. And he plays h5, queen d2, and now he plays the #1 computer move. But hopefully it makes sense, I think, when you see the move that comes after it. And here Hans plays king g7. Well, first of all, stopping the queen from coming in on h6, but most importantly, he wants to put the rook on the h file and push this pawn and try to make inroads into the white position, and especially use these powerful bishops here on the diagonals if you can. But Christopher blunts the diagonal with f4 here, but Hans keeps going with his plan. Rook to h8, bishop to f3, and now Hans closes the position with f5, which, well, maybe doesn't make a lot of sense with his bishop because it's put out of the game a little bit, but it makes way for this knight to get a really nice square here on e4, and we see that it's not too far away. And remember how the journey started here on a6, and it's going to end well. Christopher plays rook e2, knight to e8, the knight goes on a journey. Bishop f7, the bishop was hit, so it had to move. And after rook e5, we can continue with our plan. And notice that we play knight f6 first, because we want to get the knight into e4. If we take immediately on e5, accept the exchange sacrifice, white will get a nice square on d4 for his knight, and we also take away these squares for the knight that was on e8. So first we get the knight in, and now we can start thinking about grabbing the exchange. But not yet. Hans plays h4. It's clear that if we take this exchange, white will get very good compensation with the knight on d4. This bad knight will come to life on d4, and white will have very good presence on the dark squares. So Hans tries to open the h file. We're hoping to make things happen there. Queen to f2. We can add that. Well, it's possible to take on d5, but at the end, black would have h takes g3. So it's more beneficial to actually protect the pawn, which is what Christopher does. Queen f2, and now h3. And this is where Hans starts to loses a little bit of the advantage. Maybe he could have played a move like knight h5. But after takes, we flick in this one, and then take with a rook. And here we are ready to go to battle on the h file. And white doesn't have time to take here because we are threatening to take the exchange, and probably will take it soon. So after h3, rook e2 was played, but here it seems that white misses a chance here to give black some problems, and he could have taken on d5 with a knight here, and the line could continue. Bishop takes d5, and then we take with the bishop, and if we take back on d5, rook takes d5, white is doing quite well there, and if bishop takes e5, we take on a8, and white is probably not worse here. So a big chance missed here by Christopher on move 31, but after that it kind of became one-way traffic, rook a to d8, and now we no longer have this opportunity, and the game starts to slowly but surely drift towards Hans, and now the knight finishes its journey here, knight into e4. Christopher tries to get some play with g4, but now Hans finally grabs the exchange, although maybe you should have first taken on g2 and played rook h3, trying to use the h file. But okay, back to the position and the game. Bishop takes e5, Christopher took with the d pawn, now h takes g2. Something has to be done about rook h1 check, so we take with the rook, but now rook h3, gaining a tempo here, hitting the bishop. And despite it all, white is still in with a fighting chance here. And for instance, if you were to take on e4 here, bishop takes e4 and play knight d4, black is still better, but we are surviving, getting the queen off the first rank because of the jack. Black, white has a good presence on the dark squares, so he's able to put up a fight here. But the move played in the game, I don't fully understand. e6 was played, which Hans just took. And I'm not sure what the tactical justification was supposed to be. But yeah, the game just started to drift away completely here. G takes f5, bishop takes f5. Now Hans is up the exchange and the pawn, and it's difficult to see where the compensation is coming from. Takes, and okay, we activate the knight to d4, but an accurate move, queen to f6. Bishop takes e4, and rook e8, another accurate move. Utilizing the pin, we're not giving white a chance to activate the queen, but taking on e4 and queen takes e4. f5 and rook takes e4, another good move. Now we're hitting the queen, and there's no time to take on g6, even though it comes with check because of the hanging queen here. So queen f2, but black can play this move, rook e to h4, and now he's completely winning. Trying to come into white's camp here, checkmate is being threatened. Christopher took on g6. But we can just take with the queen, and now it's completely game over. Fg, and now the rooks give checks here, and we win the queen back. And after we win the queen, as we do here, rook takes f2. At the end of it, rook h2, and the b2 pawn falls. So yeah, the rest of the moves really didn't need to be played out, to be honest. But the finish was like this: king f4, king takes a king e5, and then the passed pawns must be pushed, and they were pushed. Takes and c3. Christopher played b5, but Hans simply took it. Rook takes b5, and if the knight takes as it did, there's no way back to save this pawn. So white resigned here, and well, Hans had a short interview after the game, and it's safe to say, like I said, all eyes on Hans. It's rare that we have so many eyes on a player like this, and he said it was a beautiful game and that the chess spoke for itself, and that's all he had to say. It was a good game, but did the chess speak for itself? I don't know. The jury is still out, as we all know, but yeah, I guess all eyes will be on Hans for the coming days, as we have 12 more rounds coming, so the drama continues. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Bye bye.